In most traditional cultures around the world, back pain is almost non-existent, despite the fact that people living in these societies perform a lot of physical labor, and healthcare is much more limited. One reason this may be is the amount of time that people spend close to the floor in squat-like positions. Resting in a squat has huge effects on the mobility of our joints. The hips staying flexible enough to rest into a deep squat is key for keeping stress off the back. And sitting in a squat has actually been shown to decompress the spine and relieve tension in the lower back. A little known benefit of spending time in a squat is the positive effects it has on digestion. Toilets have been a relatively recent invention. Resting in a squat aligns our organs for optimal movement. Before modern toilets, squats weren't even an option. And let's face it, modern technology has turned us into chest breathers. While sitting in a squat, you're forced to breathe into the diaphragm, expanding the ribcage in all directions properly. Many times, you can even become calmer while you squat low and breathe.
In the resting squat, we don't want tons of muscle tension. We want to feel relaxed and comfortable, which means if your back wants to round, no big deal. Or if the knees aren't in perfect alignment, that's okay. But when's the last time you just sat down here? Most of us run into stiff hips or stiff ankles that prevent us from just relaxing. Here's a few things you can do to adapt the resting squat to your body. If you constantly feel like you're falling backwards, then you might have stiff ankles. So you can use a couple books or some weights if you're at the gym, put your heels up on them, and that takes the ankles a bit more out of the equation. The ankle doesn't have to bend so far to be able to sit. Another simple one to try is holding on to something sturdy. This gives you some support so you can spend more time in the position. And you could even combine the two. Now, I've had some clients who found that sitting in a deep squat was really hard on their knees when they first started. So in this case, find a box or something low to the ground that can put you into a squat-like position, and then over time, it allows your knees to get used to being compressed like this, and you can slowly take more weight into your legs.
One of the reasons why we have so much trouble sitting in a squat is because of these stiff ankles. This is in direct correlation with wearing big padded shoes, and if we want to take back our deep squat lifestyle, then we're going to need to regain ankle and foot health. Step one is to spend a lot of time barefoot. Step two is to wear Vivos.
That's perfect.
I got my first pair of Vivos about 8 years ago, and it massively changed the health of my foot and ankle. I had super stiff ankles from playing basketball and getting injuries. After turning to a more minimalist shoe with Vivo, I started slowly regaining that back until these guys were no longer that big of an issue. Now imagine having shoes on but still being able to feel the ground like you're barefoot. All the time that you're spinning down here in your squat, you're getting a nice stretch for the ankles, and no arch support means that all those tendons, ligaments, and muscles of your foot have to work all day long. Trust me, this is a good thing. Vivo made this video possible, and right now, Vivo is giving the Strength Side audience 20% off any order. Just use our link below in the description and Strength Side at checkout. It's rare that we'll spend enough time in the squat with chairs everywhere we look. So it's key to hold some standards for ourselves, especially in the beginning. The place I've seen people have the most success is to use a 10-minute timer on their phone. Every time you pop down into your squat, you start the timer. You'll begin with 30 to 60 second chunks, making sure to accumulate 10 minutes per day. Each week, you can add on a few more minutes to your overall time. You'll gradually find it easier to stay down in the squat for longer periods. A good goal to shoot for is 25 minutes in the squat per day. And as a disclaimer, you should never feel pain. If you do, consult a medical professional. Now, as fitnessers, we like to think that if we spend our 20 minutes in the squat per day, then we're all good, everything will be fine. But it's more about what the squat gives you. The squat is your bridge between standing and sitting. Many cultures don't use chairs. They sleep on the ground and they work from the floor, making the squat a useful and functional part of their lives. For us to really gain the benefits from the squat, it's not just about resting, but maneuvering as well. Ignore all the fitness experts telling us to drive our knees out or keep perfect spine alignment. You'll never have perfect alignment when moving in everyday life. There's no bad exercises, just improper preparation. Two things you might not want to do with 300 pounds on your back is let the spine round and the knees cave in. But this is actually quite natural in a simple resting squat, and you'll find postures like this around the world. It's better to be comfortable in all angles of low squat-like positions rather than fearful. One of the best places to start is by practicing touching your knee to a target or the ground during your squat time. You can tap inward or directly in front of you. Allow this to encourage any other movements from the squat that feel good for you while you spend your time down low. But here's the thing, tons of new research suggests that being strong is key for living a longer, higher quality life. This makes it important to train your squat as an exercise as well. And squats have been shown to be one of the best at building full body strength. Of course, it creates strong legs, but it also strengthens your core and torso as well. Squats can trigger fat loss through increased metabolism, and intense squats can even trigger the release of growth hormone and testosterone. The way to choose a squat variation that works for you is to first be clear on your goals and intentions. If you're looking for jacked legs with tons of power, then you'll want to squat with intensity. The easiest way to do this is using a barbell in the 5 to 10 rep range. People get very strong this way. The barbell makes it easy to gradually add weight over the course of training. Just use caution here, as loading the spine comes with the most opportunity for strength, but also the most risky. If you're more interested in legs that are strong for activities like hiking or running and keeping up with the kids, consider the goblet squat. This will be a bit less taxing on your overall system, but still get your legs pumped with enough reps. In my opinion, this is the best option for the aging athlete. Someone who wants to maintain muscle and capability, but can't be grinding too hard and risking injury. Elevating your heels will shift priority to your quads, making it great for strengthening the knees. I like to stay in the 10 to 20 rep range here, but naturally you can still become stronger from your apartment with no weights at all. If you have the mobility and coordination for it, a single leg squat can develop your leg strength equally, and of course will make one leg work super hard. One of the joys of this method is you'll develop more body control, as there are balancing components. You become stronger with no equipment at all. And if you're a beginner or minimalist, the bodyweight 2-leg squat can still give you a lot of gains. Your legs are naturally strong because they carry you all day long, so you'll need to get into the higher rep ranges here to create fatigue. Consider anywhere from 20 to 50 reps. I love the toe squat variation, as it strengthens our ability to press into the ball of our foot, much needed for athletic endeavors. A smart way to program your squats is to go through phases. Spend a few months doing single leg squats, then spend the winter indoors with the barbell. Or another method is to use two variations concurrently, maybe high rep bodyweight squats one day and heavier goblet squats on another. Squats need to be gradually worked into. Don't be the guy who starts sitting in a squat for 20 minutes a day along with barbell squatting 3 times a week and ends up with knee pain 2 weeks later. Everything in moderation. Start with the basics. Accumulate some time in your resting squat position. Be conscious of the changes that you see in your body. And as you become more comfortable, add in a squat exercise that interests you. If you want to work on unlocking